Hey everybody, welcome back to some more bolt action for you guys here. Today we want to take a specific look at one of the more fun weapons to employ, especially when it really works, and that is the flamethrower. So a couple of small tweaks that it's, I think, undergone from the second ed, so let's just jump in with the actual specifics of it here. So they allow no cover saves, obviously, and that's a good thing, right? So that's one of those special weapons there to, get people who've been dug in to essentially remove them from said location. So, especially against troops in bunkers behind cover, or as those who've gone down, there's just no good defense against that, and that's the great equalizer with this weapon, especially when there's just an opponent taking a lot of use of heavy cover and so on. Now, when you shoot a flamethrower, you roll a single die to hit as normal, but if you score a hit, it's actually D6 hits. Or if it were a vehicle-mounted one, D6 plus 1, so guaranteed minimum of 2. As there's no saves allowed, which is nice, again, you just straight up roll for damage, right? Flamethrowers always hit the top armor of vehicles, so that represents the tendency of burning liquids to seep through the hatches and other openings. Also, flamethrowers don't rely on kinetic energy to penetrate a target's armor, so there's no -1 penalty when firing at long range against armored vehicles, nor the +1 pen for firing at point blank. Again, it's just burning hot fire, basically. Any unit hit by a flamethrower takes 1 pin marker because it's been hit, and here's one of those weapons we mentioned in another video where you can just immediately cause additional pins. So and a further D3 pin markers to account for the unbridled terror unleashed upon it. So basically D3 plus 1, so 2 to 4 basically, and that's just a great way to take a unit that's got no pins on it, put at least 2 on there, hopefully 4, putting it in some really bad shape and hopefully getting them to fail order tests, or taking a unit that's already accrued some pin markers and really putting them in a bad spot. So on the other hand, the unit firing the flamethrower also receives 1 pin marker, whether they hit or miss the target. This represents the danger and confusion these weapons inflict upon the operators themselves. So something to be aware of when you're employing it. And ideally, you're firing from a fresh unit that doesn't have any pins on it already. A unit hit by a flamethrower must check its morale once firing has been worked out and pin markers allocated, as described above. Note that a morale check is required regardless of the number of casualties caused, and even if no damage has been suffered at all. No one wants to stand there and, stand in the face of a flamethrower. Makes sense. So again, it's just a great way to shift opposing units and getting them not just unstuck essentially from their cover or other shelter, but just getting them to vacate the area. So a unit failing this check is destroyed immediately. Its morale completely shattered, which is a nice way. Hopefully you get some of those to happen, and then you just don't have to deal with that anymore. Vehicles failing their morale in this way are abandoned and considered destroyed. After shooting with an infantry man-pack flamethrower you got to roll a d6. On a 1 or 2, you're out of fuel, and then it's useless for the rest of the game. And then if this happens, the man carrying the flamethrower is replaced with an unarmed model. If you don't have such a model, remove the model instead. No morale check caused. After shooting with a vehicle flamethrower, though, you roll a d6. Again, on a 1 or 2, it's out of fuel, but again, in this case, it doesn't actually mean the vehicle is useless for the rest of the game. It can do other things still. And then when rolling on the armored damage value results against a vehicle equipped with flamethrowers, you do add an extra +1 to the roll to represent the increased risk from carrying around so much volatile fuel. So again, we'll cover that in a separate video, guys. But yeah, so there are some certainly ups and downs to employing it. Very risky, but then again, the panic and damage you can cause without necessarily even having to cause casualties, although hopefully you do cause some, right, is just supremely useful for something that's also generally relatively low cost to employ. So let us know, guys, your best uses of flamethrowers that you've encountered and used in your games of bolt action, especially in 3rd ed so far. Let us know if you like the way they've made some just, I think, subtle changes here from coming over from 2nd ed. But yeah, be sure to hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe. We'll have more bolt action for you soon. We'll be covering artillery next, and then some of the other smaller weapon special rules. Thanks so much for watching.